Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cardinals Sportscast. I'm your host, Steven Avalos, alongside my dad.
Hello.
And today we're going to be going over the MLB playoffs, who we think will win, and all that. This is also after the wild card games as well, so we'll mainly just be focusing on the division series. Then recapping our picks of last week and going into what we think will happen next week. So first off, just going into baseball. What are the series so far? We got the Astros and White Sox. I think the Astros are going to win that one, personally.
Well, they're up 2-0 right now.
Yeah, and they also they just have more experience too.
And a tough all-around lineup.
Yeah, so I think it's like it's a bit easy going with them. I want the White Sox to win. Just anyone but the Astros. Really.
Anybody but the Astros.
But their experiences are just overwhelming. And next up, then we got going to the National League. One of the series are the Milwaukee Brewers and Atlanta Braves. They're actually at a deadlock right now in the first game. Nothing in the seventh inning. I'm going to have Milwaukee win that one.
Same here, Milwaukee.
I say 4 games. Atlanta will get one. And then for the last series, I say that one ends up being a sweep, I think.
In the other National League game, we have the Dodgers and the Giants.
Yep, hasn't started yet, but I'm going to have Giants winning in 5.
I had the Giants sweeping.
All right, and then the other American League series, which one is that? Red Sox and Rays. I have the Rays winning that in 4.
No Yankees?
No Yankees.
Wow.
It's better that way.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Not really. Anyway.
Now, who do you think is the World Series? Who do you think is going to be in that series? Because I think it's going to be Rays and Giants.
I think exactly the same thing, and I think Giants have had an incredible year, just monumental in so many ways. But I think Rays are going to take it.
I think the Rays are going to take it as well. Anything else? Are the A's playing? No.
No. That ship sailed, or sunk, I should say.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Now, who out of the players, if you were going to keep one out of the 3 players, I think we'd all have to agree we'd keep Marte. Do you see any way chance of the A's signing him?
I don't think so. It's so hard to hold any hope for anything like that.
Now, if the A's don't get Marte, where do you think he's going?
I have no idea. That any guess would be as good as mine, just because I don't know.
I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think Houston would go for him. Because during that series, there was a couple times when he went over and talked to the Houston bench. This was before he went out to the outfield. He went over there and talked to him for a second. So I don't know. That just seems strange, but that's a weird guess.
Okay. But anyways, anything else for baseball, really? That's pretty much all
Week 4 of the NFL.
All right, so first game was the Jaguars and Bengals. I think we already kind of talked about this one because I think last week we also recorded after Thursday night. Yeah,
it was a so-so game.
Yeah.
Lots of hype, not much action.
Yeah, the hype when it comes to number 1 picks. But the Jaguars, it was their best game, even though they still lost. And there are some ways they should have won. And Burrow ended up having a really nice game. Slow first half, but really pulled through in the second. Carolina and Dallas. Carolina put up a good fight in the first half, but fizzled out. Their defense couldn't hold Dallas anymore. And Dallas, I already said it before, might as well just give them the crown for the NFC East.
Yeah, Dallas had 20 points in the third quarter, which pretty much turned the game around.
Yeah. Cleveland and Minnesota, snoozer right there. What was his final score? 14-7?
Yeah.
It was. Cleveland's got a great defense. Their offense is going to be questionable, especially with Mayfield having a torn shoulder from weeks ago.
Well, he was 15-33. Not much going on there.
And then we got the Detroit Lions against the Chicago Bears. The Bears won that. They were able to take advantage of many mistakes that the Lions made. They were able to move the ball well, but once they got to the red zone, they had some wild turnovers.
Yeah, and the Bears doubled up the Lions in their rushing game, 90 to 180, something like that.
Yeah, and Montgomery got hurt though, so that's something to look out for next week when they play the Raiders because I believe they already put him on IR. They said he could miss a decent amount of time. Then we got the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills shutout like 40-0.
Yeah.
The Bills still didn't really have a perfect game, even though they won 40-0. There were moments where like it looks like they could have been better, but still,
They could have scored 60.
Then Indianapolis and Miami, another snoozer right there. That was. I feel like there was a lot of games that were bad for fantasy last week.
Yeah, Dolphins had 35 yards rushing.
Yeah, and I had Gaskin on several teams. Kansas City and Philadelphia. This one was entertaining for the most part. Kansas City ended up running away with it, but Eagles, they had some decent fight in them for the most part.
Yeah, Mahomes, 5 TDs. Nothing new with that.
Giants and Saints, a big upset right there. Saints lost in overtime. They had a decent lead in the second half, but they just couldn't score anymore. And you wonder if it's just going to be week in and week out with their offense. Then you got the Tennessee Titans and the New York Jets. Already mentioned New York earlier. Their other half pulled off another big upset.
Upset of the day.
Yeah. And, you could put a lot of it on Tennessee not having their top 2 receivers because they looked like they were limited.
Yeah, Titans could have put it away early, but they couldn't score. No TDs. Yeah. They got a bunch of field goals.
Yeah, they had like their first 3 scores were field goals, and Jets took advantage of it. Washington and Atlanta. This is actually a pretty entertaining game, especially in the second half. It came down to the wire. Both teams, they had some great offense here. Cordero Patterson had 3 touchdowns for Atlanta, but Washington ended up coming out with the victory thanks to J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, 2 pretty crappy teams, but it was an entertaining game.
Yeah, and I'd rather take a really good game from 2 crappy teams than a boring game from 2 good teams.
Yeah, any day of the week.
Arizona Cardinals and Los Angeles Rams. Arizona, there was a lot of praise here for beating the Rams the way they did. It was a pretty sound victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Rams couldn't contain Murray or the running game at all.
And they couldn't really score enough either. They weren't. I expected them to score a lot more. But they still hit the over on that one. Seattle and San Francisco, Garoppolo got hurt, and that really dismantled whatever they had going. Because they did have, they were only up 7-0, but it was they were up with that for a while, and then Seattle just ran away with it.
You mean Trey Lance didn't come to the rescue and win it?
Nope.
Wow, surprising. He's going to get his chance now.
Yeah,
he will be the starting quarterback for the for the near future, I think.
Yeah, they already announced it. But Baltimore and Denver shows how they look when they play a complete team. And you wonder how Bridgewater's going to do because they say he's questionable for next week with a concussion. Yeah,
this game was all the Jackson factor. He was pretty incredible.
Yeah, and Brown had a great recovery game when he made a really nice catch in the end zone. Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Pittsburgh looked like they had some fight in them in the first half, and then just they did the horrible 4th and 10 halfback sweep. Where it goes for nothing. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They did that against the Bengals too, and it was on 4th and 10. It's like, I don't get it. If you're gonna do something like that, like if you're gonna go for it on 4th and 10, go past the sticks. But anyways, though, Raiders and the Tampa Bay and New England. This one was a bit of a snoozer, despite the narrative that was following it. Brady just didn't look like himself, honestly. And you wonder, just being back home did something like that to him.
Yeah, they got in the red zone early, but they just couldn't cash in.
Yeah. It was a pretty awkward game.
Yeah.
Especially the way it ended, too, with all the rain and then going for it for a deep field goal with a minute left, which is just such a big risk on New England's part. And then Raiders and Chargers. That game, Chargers had a 21-point lead at halftime, so it felt like it was pretty much over. But the Raiders did make it close. It was 21-14 by the fourth quarter, but the Raiders didn't score anymore, and Chargers both add some insurance, winning 28-14.
Yeah, Raiders did not look good.
Yeah, no. They can't have bad first halves. They were a much better team in the second half, but in the first half they always just start slow, and they can't keep doing that.
Well, they could have had a bad first half, but they didn't have a good first half defensively either.
Well, saying that means like the defense played bad, but they were out on the field so much to where they're going to be gassed.
So you blaming it on offense?
Yeah, and especially the offensive line, they were awful. they couldn't block. Chargers before that they allowed the most rushing yards per carry, but you would not have guessed that at all watching that game.
You know offhand how many yards the Raiders had?
Yeah, they had around 40 rushing yards and 240 total yards in that game. So now moving on to recapping how we did in our spreads and all that, or just our picks. I was 11-5 straight up, 7-9 against the spread, and 8-8 over and under. I think that second time in a row I've gone 8-8 over under. So my totals now in order: 42-23, I believe, 30, 33-1, and then 28, 35-1. And what about you? Do you know your?
I don't know my totals, but this week was probably my worst picking ever. I was 6-10 straight up, 5-11 against the spread, and 9-7 over under. Terrible. I apologize. Hope nobody bet their house on my picks.
Oh man. Now going into next week. So the first game already happened Thursday night between the Rams and Seahawks, and the Rams won. And we got everything right on that one because we both went with the Rams and we both went with the under.
And what was the final on that?
It was 26-17. Russell Wilson had to leave the game early. He tore something in his middle finger as it got hit by Aaron Donald's hand during a throw, and he was out for the rest of the game. And they're going to be in a lot of danger because they say he could miss at least a month. They say an estimated 6 to 8 weeks. So,
but his replacement didn't play all that bad.
Well, okay, first drive looked great. Then the second drive, he looked like himself. Geno Smith, he came in.
9-year veteran.
Yeah, his first drive was good. His second drive, not so much. He might be able to do better with an actual week of practice in, but I think that our pick for having Seattle last in the division is looking good.
You had them picked going last also?
I'm not sure.
Are you sure you didn't have them winning it all?
I didn't have them winning it all.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I had the Rams.
I know I had them going last. Anyway.
Yeah, so next up, though, we got the Jets and Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
I almost had Braves, then I said Hawks, and then the Falcons.
Some team from Atlanta.
They're going to play in London, so this one's a really early game. It might be over by the time most of you guys wake up for your usual Sunday matchups. But it's a 2.5-point favorite for Atlanta. Might have changed, I'm not sure, though, because of Ridley Engage not being able to go. And the over-under is 45. I'm still going to go with Atlanta on this one. Jets should be happy with their win, but I just don't see how they can repeat that. I still like some of the weapons that they have. It's going to be more targets for Kyle Pitts. Patterson can play wide receiver, so he can cover up a hole there. And he's gotten a lot of great usage. And then Mike Davis can be reverted more to his normal running back spot for the week.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are better than they look, even then they have not looked good. And I don't think the Jets are as good as their record is. I think they just have the one win, but
they have looked better.
It was impressive.
They've looked better as the season has gone on.
I'm also going with the Falcons to win and cover.
I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm going under.
And next up, we got the Chicago Bears in Vegas going against the Raiders. Raiders are 5.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 44. So Fields is going to be starting. Nagy announced that he will be the permanent starter rest of the way through. And I feel pretty good about the Raiders here. They need a bounce back. Depending on how they win, it's going to say a lot about how this team will go out for the rest of the year.
Will you say it's a defining week for the Raiders?
It can be.
If they lose, it will be.
Yeah. But, their offense still isn't going to be great. They're missing Montgomery, who had a great game last week, so they're gonna have to rely on Fields more. Fields looked better, but that considering that's going against the Detroit defense as well, and the Raiders will be hurt too. They won't have Trayvon Mullen or Damon Arnett. Arnett, he's a mess, so I don't really mind not having him.
Yeah, I was almost glad when he got hurt because he can hurt us more than help us.
And Mullen, though, he had a really good game the week before against Miami. And so,
that's an important loss.
Yeah. Although I have faith in Amik Robertson and Nate Hobbs to cover things up. We just got to hope they never get hurt, though. And you wonder how long Mullen might miss time for. But just going back to last week, I thought Amik Robertson did a great job because you know who his guy was?
Who was his guy?
It was Williams. And did you hear his name much?
No, that's good. You don't want to hear his name mentioned often.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mike Williams is also he's like a whole foot taller than Robertson. So wouldn't you think that would mean you would kind of go after that guy a lot?
Targeting?
Yeah, but he wasn't targeted that much, and so Robertson must have done something right. Hobbs, he's been one of the best rookies, I believe, this year. Considering also where he was drafted, it's someone that the Raiders have needed for a while. Hayward is still playing well, though he hasn't been playing 100% of snaps, still like what he's been doing nonetheless. So I don't feel too bad about not having Mullen for this one.
Well, the thing I'm really worried about the Raiders' defense is their quarterback's mobility. They have trouble with very mobile quarterbacks.
They did good against Jackson.
They did great against Jackson.
Yeah. Crosby, he's got great speed. I can see him getting a sack still. But you got the Bears' offensive line is not a good one. It is. And, of course, Matt Nagy is also not a good head coach either. So I just think he's going to make a lot of mistakes. Anyways, though, so, kind of switching things up here. Akeem Hicks, their defensive lineman for the Bears, he's doubtful for the game. And I think that could be a big deal. They're going to be the Raiders are going to be moving Alex Leatherwood, it seems, at guard, and playing Brandon Parker at tackle. I know a lot of people don't like Brandon Parker, although I want to have some faith in him just because he's been really shaky. And you want your players to do well. You don't want to say, oh yeah, he's going to suck. You at least want to hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how well he'll do, but I think it might be good for Leatherwood. Not so much in the long run, but because he's more of a natural guard, I think he'll do fine. And it's going to be better for the Raiders altogether. Again, right tackle, there's going to have to be some support there. You're going to have a tight end to help block and all that. And, of course, you're going to have to deal with Khalil Mack. He's questionable, but I don't see why he would miss this.
Yeah.
Although I do find it interesting that he is questionable, though.
As a person?
No.
Oh, okay.
But their secondary is not good. Like I said, their front defensive group really good, but going to the secondary, it's not. And I think that leaves a lot of room for their receivers and tight ends to do something.
Perfect time for them to open up the offense.
Yeah, and what you got? One thing that I mentioned it before is I like how Ruggs has been playing. He's been getting more targets, not week by week, but it's been more consistent.
Yeah. And he's taking advantage of the opportunity he's been given and catching the ball.
Yeah, he's been doing really well, and I think there's definitely been more trust between him and Derek Carr. I also like to see some more from Bryan Edwards, but considering you also got Renfrow and Waller, that's still that'd be a lot to ask for him to get more targets because those three guys already command so much. But I have the Raiders winning and covering. Just seeing how some injuries are going for the Bears, even though the Raiders do have some as well, I feel like they can't miss out on this.
Yeah, and the Raiders are at home. I'm going same pick and over.
I'm going over as well.
So we have the same thing there.
Next up, we got the Eagles and Panthers. Panthers are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 45. I got Carolina winning this one. What about you?
I got the Eagles winning and covering.
No, their offense looked better, but Carolina has a pretty good defense. They did allow a lot of points to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys' offense has also looked mostly unstoppable for the season. So, I'm kind of just giving the benefit of the doubt there. So I'm still gonna have Carolina win and cover, but I will have it going under.
I have it going under as well.
Now the Green Bay Packers and Cincinnati Bengals, 50.5. I have the Packers winning and covering on this one, and I could easily see this going over. Cincinnati's offense, Burrow looks more and more comfortable. Green Bay should still be able to score plenty of points, but I can see Burrow putting up a good fight. So that's why I have it going over.
Yeah, I don't think the Packers defense is all that great, and Burrows is going to get his points put in. So I have it. I have the Packers winning, covering, and going over.
Next up, we got New England and Houston. Houston is a 9-point underdog, and the over/under is 39.5. I was kind of tempted to have Houston cover this one, but they just look so bad to where I just don't think they could. Even if New England handed them opportunities, they wouldn't be able to.
And the Patriots showed up defensively too against the Bucs. So I got the Patriots winning, covering. I think it's going to go under.
Yeah, we need to see Mac Jones go more downfield, because that's one problem that he's had, is that he hasn't really shown that he has the arm to do something, to be a deep threat. He just relies a lot on short passes. Just do more. This is an opportunity for you. But I still have them winning, covering, and going over the 39.5 mark. I'm almost tempted to not have it go over 39.5, but I don't know. What about you? Did you have
I would actually went under.
You know what? I think I'm going to change it to under.
Wow. 40 points is not many.
It really isn't. Not at all. But that's how I'll have it. Next up, Tennessee and Jacksonville. Tennessee is a 4.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 48.5. I'm not sure if they're getting both Julio and A.J. Brown back, but I know they're at least getting A.J. Brown back. So that's going to be really helpful for them. They should be able to win against Jacksonville, but Jacksonville's also coming off they're coming off multiple things, honestly, because they look better than they did, but everything going on with Urban Meyer, that's got to be a big distraction for them. But I will have Jacksonville
nothing's
covering.
wrong with the little lap dance.
No.
Okay?
I meant no, as in just saying, dismissing the comment, not saying no, nothing is wrong.
Okay.
But anyways, though, I had Jacksonville covering just because Tennessee's defense also isn't good. So, and 4.5, I think, is also just a bit much.
So you're saying that you're picking the Jags to win and cover, or just cover?
Just cover.
Okay.
And I have it going over.
I got the Titans winning and covering and going over.
Detroit and Minnesota. I got Minnesota's a 10-point favorite. Over/under is 49. I have this one going under. Seeing how much both offenses have struggled a bit. Minnesota's had some good moments, but I just think this is going to be like one of those like snoozers. So I'm going to go with Minnesota to still win and cover, but I just don't see it hitting 49.
Yeah, I actually have Lions
covering
and Vikings winning. I think the Vikings are going to light up the scoreboard, but the Lions they're going to stay within the 10.
I just think they're going to repeat those mistakes they had in Chicago.
And I'm going over.
Next up, Denver and Pittsburgh. This one is a pick'em, at least on my thing. Over/under is 39.5.
On your thing?
Where I got the spread from.
Yeah. I got you.
I got Pittsburgh winning this one unless Bridgewater plays. If Bridgewater plays, then switch it to Denver, because they haven't given a verdict yet on whether or not he'll play. So with that in mind, yeah. They both have really good defenses, but their offenses could really be lacking. Ben Roethlisberger just looks awful. He needs to retire, and Drew Lock is not a good quarterback. Like I said, if Bridgewater plays, then I'll go with Denver easily, because he can control the ball. He doesn't lose it. He doesn't turn it over. But Drew Lock does. So really, whoever plays quarterback for Denver will determine my pick. And you?
I got the Steelers winning and covering. Mine is the one I saw was -1 Steelers, and I have it going over.
And I have this one going under. I just think both defenses are that good. Miami and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's favored by 10. Over/under is 48. I'm going to go with, this is an easy one. This is one of the easier ones in my opinion. For sure, Miami still has a good defense, but I think, at the way Brady played last week, he didn't play that well. It was good enough to win, but I just feel better about how he'll do this week. It's going to be a bounce back for him. I think they're going to lay in a lot of points, and Miami isn't going to be able to score much. So
yeah, the Patriots butt game last week, I thought it was almost like, Brady was thinking, oh, listen, I spent a lot of time over here. I want to beat the Patriots, but I don't want to embarrass them. So I don't know if he played under on purpose.
No, not on purpose.
I know. That's pros don't do that, but there's no way the Bucks shouldn't have covered there. Yeah, and they didn't cover. It just seemed like he was being easy on him.
Also, just the moment too. Sometimes it might get to his head. Being back there after so long, and plus, Belichick knows him well, so it's not. He might have just had a good plan.
Yeah. Well, I got the Bucks winning and covering, and going over.
I have this one. The same thing except going under.
Well, it's not the same thing then. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
New Orleans and Washington. New Orleans is favored by 2. Over under is 43.5. I think the James Winston show, as we mentioned before, was going to be wishy-washy. Some weeks he'll look great. And he looked decent last week. He wasn't bad, but it just they should have been able to do a lot more. And Giants did play well at some points, so credit there. But I think they're gonna bounce back here. I can see this one being a little bit more on the shootout side. I think this one will be entertaining, back and forth. And I have New Orleans winning and covering and going over. I think 43 is like too short.
I got the same pick as you. The Saints started off gangbusters with Winston throwing 5 TD passes. He looked like the new, Johnny Unitas for you for you youngsters out there. You look like a new Pat Mahomes, even though he's quite an older quarterback. But since that opening week, he really hasn't shown much at all. I think he's gonna have a good game against Washington, and like I said, I'm having them winning, covering, and over.
And so that's we got the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you agree though? 43.5 is way too
low.
Yeah. Of course, if we hit the under,
and then it's like, well, I guess they know what they're talking about.
Yep. Next up, Cleveland and the Chargers. I almost said Clippers. Chargers are favored by 2, and the over/under is 47. This one I feel pretty confident in the Chargers on this one. We already talked about Baker Mayfield and his shoulder problems. Chuba Hubbard. No, not Chuba Hubbard. I forgot the player's name, but someone on the offensive line is gonna be unavailable for that week, and that's gonna be really important for the Browns. I forgot his name, honestly. But just knowing that he won't be available is going to be a big deal because the Chargers' defensive line has looked pretty good this season. And
sure looked good against the Raiders.
Yeah. And sure, Cleveland does have a great defense. Their defense looked really good against Minnesota last week. But I just don't think it'll be enough, though. Chargers win, cover, but it goes under.
I have Chargers winning, covering, and going over.
Okay. Next up, Niners and Cardinals. Trey Lance is going to be making his first start.
Trey Lance show.
Cardinals look to stay undefeated. They're favored by 5, and the over/under is 50. So what do you have here?
I got Cardinals winning, covering, and going under. I don't think the Niners are going to score that many points. I think Trey Lance, like I said, he's a rookie. He'll have a couple of nice moments, but that's about it.
I had this one going over instead. I still have them winning and covering though. The Cardinals, they're going to stay undefeated. I think it's going to be a decent game. There's going to be a lot of hype around it. Especially just for Trey Lance.
31-14, my final score.
Oh, I don't have one, but I have Cardinals winning, covering, and going over. Next up, actually no, I'm going to change it to under. Just thinking.
What?
And plus, I need to work on these picks. I'm so far down when it comes to over/under. Next up, Giants and Cowboys. Giants looked pretty good last week, but they're not going to have it again. They are 7-point underdogs to the Cowboys, and the over-under is 52. I think I could see this hitting over, because their offense did look better, but Cowboys, I think they could really score a lot here. So I'm going to go, like I said, the over, and Dallas wins and covers.
Well, like you, I have the Cowboys winning and covering, but I don't see the Giants putting enough points to make it go over, so I have it going under.
I can see it being one of those games that it kind of feels like it's over already, and they get some garbage points in. I could see that. Buffalo and Kansas City, that's Sunday Night Football right there. This one will be really good. Probably game of the week. Kansas City's a 2.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 56.5. I'm easily taking that over, no problem. But I have Buffalo winning and covering on this one. Sure, they haven't looked, best at they're best at times, but I still have them winning this one though. Kansas City will look good. It's going to be a shootout. I think a lot of back and forth, but I think Buffalo comes out on top, and it's going to be on Kansas City's defense or Mahomes doing something silly because he's had multiple just really bad turnovers.
Yeah, you know what? As hard as it is to go against the Chiefs at home, I'm going to take the Bills winning and obviously covering as well. So, and it's going to go over. Bills they just have a dynamite offense, and the Chiefs' defense is so-so.
Yeah. And last but not least, it's not that great of a game, but it'll be good enough. Indianapolis and Baltimore. Baltimore is a 7-point favorite, and the over-under is 45.5. I have the under on this one already. Colts offense just, I don't think they're going to do that well. Sure, the Baltimore's defense, their secondary hasn't looked that good, but I just think Indianapolis will struggle more, and Jackson will continue on from how he did last week. So I have them winning, covering, and going under.
I got the exact same thing. The Jackson train will continue to roll.
Good. Those are our picks for the week. Look out for any articles I have over the weekend talking about fantasy. I'm going to say how the Raiders will do in fantasy this week. My calls on that and such. That's pretty much all I got. Dad, any words from you?
Not a word.
All right, then. Good night.
Good night.